Hello out there to you. In this video, we're going to calculate what's going on with this excise tax problem. And so we're told that the excise tax is the distance between A and B. So what that really means, and you'll see this on a lot of other problems where they've already sort of drawn this would be like S plus the tax. Okay, so that's S with the tax. And we actually know that the tax distance or the tax wedge, it's the difference between 24 and 10. So that would actually be 14. So this is a $14 per unit tax. Now we can use that to figure out some other things. So before the market was taxed, they were buying and selling 100 because that's where supply equals demand. Now that the tax has been imposed, we've lost 30 units. And we're now going down to here to QT, which is the quantity with the tax, which is 70. So if I wanted to figure out what the tax revenue is, then what I would do for the government is multiply the amount of the tax, which is 14, by the number of units that were sold in the market that we're going to tax. So it'd be 14 times 70, which I can't do off the top of my head. So it's 980. So the tax revenue for this firm is 980. If you're doing this graphically, that is going to be the rectangle right here from here to here. That orange rectangle, that's tax revenue. Okay. Now, next thing I might want to figure out, what is the price that the buyers will pay? Well, the buyers are going to pay the price with the tax. So they have that included in the tax. So PB, as it's sometimes called, price that the buyers will pay, is 24. The tax is 14, so you can subtract 14 from 24, and that's the price the sellers get to keep. So this is PS. Okay. Now, if I want to figure out what the producer surplus is, that's pretty small. That's going to be the difference between the supply curve and the old supply curve and the quantity and the price that the sellers get to keep. So that's the producer surplus going to be right here. It's this triangle, but then it also includes this little section here. So this would be the producer surplus in blue. Okay. I want to know what the consumer surplus is. The consumer surplus is the difference between the demand curve. I'm just going to go right to there. And the price that they pay. The buyers are going to pay 24. Demand curve is this area right here. So let's give that green. Right there. Okay. So this right here, this is the consumer surplus. We can't calculate that unless we know this number and unless we know this number. That's okay. Last thing we want to calculate here is the deadweight loss. Actually, there's two more things we can calculate. The deadweight loss is the difference between what they were selling in the free market, which was 100, and what they were selling now with the tax, which is 70. So it's going to be this distance here, but then it's on this tax. So it's this triangle here. It's what we've lost due to this tax. It might be appropriate if there is maybe a externality problem or something like that. But our deadweight loss is the area of that linear triangle right there. So that'll be 1/2. The difference is $14 times the quantity change, which is 30. And whatever that is, 14 times 30, 420, and then half of that is $210. We say that in money terms. So $210 is the deadweight loss. Last thing you might be asked about is the tax burden or the tax incidence. So this is how hard it hits either the buyers or the sellers. So here we're comparing the price the buyers pay before the tax, which was 16, with the price they pay with including the tax, which is 24. So for the buyers, their tax incidence is $8 per unit. So per unit, they're going to pay $8. And for the sellers, their tax incidence is the difference in what they were selling it for, which is 16, and what they now sell it for, which is 10, or rather keep. So that's 6. So the sellers are hit less hard. The sellers have a less high tax incidence, or they're burdened by the tax less than the buyers. Or you could say the buyers are burdened more by the tax than the sellers, and that's because the buyers have a smaller elasticity.